All right, guys, today's lesson is on function versus not a function. And so a function is a relation where each input has exactly one or a unique output, right? One output. In other words, for every x value, all right, there's only one y value. All right, for every input value, there's only one output value. So let's look at this first table right here. If you notice now, for the x values, right, we have a -3. There's only one -3 and only one 6. There's only one 0 and we have an 8. We have one 3 and a 20. We have an 8 and a 4, a -10 and an 8. So that is a function because for every x value, right, there is one y value. In other words, if you notice though, the x value didn't repeat itself. All right, so when the x value repeats himself, that is not a function. So this is a function, right? Because right, each x value has one y value, or we can say the x values did not repeat themselves. X values did not repeat. Oops. Okay, so that's one way of looking at it. Now on the second table now, if you notice, right, for the x values, right, we have a -2. So far, we're good. There's a 6 right there, an output of 6. 0, we have an 8. Well, look here now. The -2 repeats itself. So once I get there, I know this is not a function anymore. It's not a function, right? Because the x value repeats itself. Let's look at mapping, and the same steps apply to mapping. Let's look at the first mapping right here. We have an input and the output. Oh, the rate is coming down. And so for the -5, we have a -2. -1, we have a -8. The 4, we have an 8. And for the 9, we have a -8. All right. And look at it now. For each x value, right, we have one y value. In other words, the x value do not repeat themselves, and so this is a function. So this is a function. On the second mapping, again, this is my input are my x values and my y values. The -5 goes to -8, and the -5 goes to -2. So we can stop here. This is not a function because the x value repeats itself. So this is not a function. Okay, not a function. All right, guys. So the trick to this is look at x values. If the x value repeats itself, then you don't have a function. Right? All right, let's look at the next one. So here are some examples we can look at. Let me zoom in, zoom out, or yeah, zoom in. Okay, let's look at the first one. Okay, look at the first table. I'm going to look at my x values, right? We have a 3, so far good. 4, so far good. 5, so far good. 4, right? Here, the 4, it starts to repeat itself. So again, it is not a function. Okay, I'm just going to put a not. Not a function. All right. And the second one now, if you notice, the 0 repeats itself. We have a 0, 2 and a 0, 3. I can stop right there because the 0 repeats itself. So this is not a function too. Not a function. Okay. Let's go to the table. Here we have a 1. So far that's good. 1, -2, 2, -2, 3, 14. The 1 repeats itself. So again, this is not a function. And then let's see on this one for the pairs, we have a 3, that's good. Negative 3, 5, 7, 1, 0 repeat itself twice. So this is not a function. And look at the last one, guys. Pause the video and try the last one on your own and see what it is. And once you do that, you can see, we'll come back to 7, repeat itself, so that's not a function, right? Okay, so that's what happens when you have a graph. Well, we use what's called the vertical line test. All right, we draw a line to the graph, and if the line, if you have this line, if the line intersects the graph more than once, right? If any of this line intersects the graph more than, this should be a more than once. All right, more than once, then it is not a function. All right, so bottom line is, let's look at the second graph right here. Oops. So we have a graph. I'm going to draw a vertical line. We just draw one line through it. Notice the line crossed the graph at one point here and at the second point right there. So this is not a function because if the lines intersect the graph more than once, this is more than one, so this is not a function. I'm going to put an X right here. This is not a function. Now let's look at this, the first graph right here, vertical line. Now, pause and think about it for a second. Is this going to be a function? Well, if you look at it really, a line is made of points, right? Points along the graph. And in fact, there are so many points, we call them an infinite number of points. And so if I draw a line now along this line, it's going to cross 1 point, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see, right, that line is going to cross more than 1 point. And so this is not a function. If I draw a line through here now, right, it only crosses the graph at 1 point. So yes, this is a function. Same thing with this one. If I draw a line through this graph right here, it crosses the graph at 1 point, and so this is a function. For discrete graphs, now we got to be careful. If I draw a line through the graph, right, it only crosses 1 point. You still notice that, right? Only 1 point is going to cross. So this is a function. However, on this graph here now, you notice I have 2 points right here. They're vertically aligned. So if I draw a line through these points right here, what's going to happen? You're going to cross 1 point, 2 points. So that is not a function, right? Because the graph, the line crosses 2 points. So it's not a function. So be careful. So for discrete graph, if the points, if you have 2 points and they're vertically aligned like that, then you're not going to have a function. All right. Okay, so that was the lesson today. The homework is on Delta Math. Just go ahead and complete the homework. If you haven't registered yet, remember the code for Delta Math is 765608, and make sure you select the period you're in. All right. Bye bye.